Hey guys, welcome to the Comic Rundown, brought to you by Comicden316. I'm your host, Ace Knuckles, and I'm joined by Jacob Whittington. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook at Comicden316 or on YouTube at The Comicden. Jacob, what do you do and where can people find you?
I make Halo machinima. I know it's a dying art, but there are several of us still out there. If you liked things like Red vs. Blue or RB and the Chief or Pre-Game Lobby in the past, I've been around since that time. I've been doing this for 10 years. You can find my channel. It's called Chronicler177. Hope you check me out, and I hope you like what you see if you do. Thank you.
All right, for those of you joining for the first time, let me explain what we're doing here. Basically, I find somebody bored enough to talk to me, and we discuss comics, life, and comics. So, Jacob, we've talked about kind of what you do in general. Mm-hmm. I had no idea what machinimas were, so take a brief second and explain it for all the ignorant people out there who don't know what a machinima is right
off. Sure. I'll try to sum it up as much as I can. Machinima is a video medium. The word itself comes from the combination of the words machine and cinema, basically to create a movie using the engine from a video game. It first started with Quake and became most popular through Halo and expanded to other games like World of Warcraft and such. Basically, me and a group of other people puppeteer our characters around in a Halo multiplayer match according to the scripts that I write. Then I use Halo's theater mode to go back the game from different angles using the free-roaming theater camera, record all that to my computer, add in voices, music, titles, all that stuff. It's true art. It's a little more complicated than some things people do these days, like streaming. What is this streaming stuff? How are people making money off just recording themselves playing games? Put in some actual effort. Just kidding. But really, it's hard work, but it is rewarding.
Okay, so I'll admit I was one of those ignorant people. I had no idea what it was.
It's a dying art, like I said.
But it's not just you getting on and like screwing around with your friends.
No.
Like I've been talking to you about it, and you've actually got this whole universe that you're building up towards. And I don't want to give anything away or spoil anything.
No, that's fine.
But it is this big epic story arc, and as you know, my thing's comics, and so that's how I look at everything: is issues, trades, and story arcs. And so it is just this big, huge story arc that you've been working towards, and it's cool because, like I said, I know people who have written books. I know people who have written comics. I read comics, so I kind of know what people put into it. Mm-hmm. And so I enjoy seeing another medium. Like, I'll go to Comic-Con and I'll watch somebody just sit there and draw.
Right.
Or I'll watch somebody create a book, or I'll help storyboard something. So I do enjoy any sort of artistic medium that's available, that somebody's willing to put that much effort into. Not just doing, because you could get on and be like, hey, we can just go around and dink around and then make videos of it, and you could put that on YouTube. But instead, you're actually creating script, you're creating storyline, you're creating arcs, you're creating character development and all that. So
the only thing that separates it from what you go to the theater to see is, one, a certain level of professionality, and two, the fact that it's not filmed live action. It is closer to an animated feature. I mean, you'd go see The Incredibles. It's not all that different, except nobody has a moving mouth because they're all in armor.
That's the benefit of it.
Exactly. You don't have to animate mouths.
Yeah. I hear mouths and hands are the hardest.
Yeah. We do, for some of us, do head bobbing, which is, using the right thumbstick to move your character's head up and down in time to the words you're speaking. So that's kind of tricky to match up, but yeah, nowhere near as hard as animating a mouth.
Yeah, it's not something you can just like jump into.
No, not at all.
That's what I thought.
Thank you for that, Siri. You be quiet now.
Siri's trying to join us.
Yeah.
Without even being invoked, so
Don't let me forget
weird.
that. Oh, it's right there.
All right, yeah, it'll be in a pawn shop tomorrow.
Oh, no. My wife got me that. She'll kill me.
So, Jacob, does Star Wars fan accurately describe you?
Fan, more like it's in my blood. Super fan would probably be a better word.
Yeah, I've tried having conversations with you about Star Wars and find that I am woefully inadequate at bringing up Star Wars facts. But you're also, it's nice to be able to talk to you about it because you do know everything to the nth degree about things you're passionate about, and you're not a dick about it.
Right. I try not to be.
Right? Because whenever I bring up Star Wars around you, I have my own opinions from my level of fandom, and everybody, and that's kind of what I've discovered throughout all of this process of becoming a nerd in my specific genre, is that everybody's got their own level of fandom.
Right.
And based on that level is how much knowledge you have that feeds your fandom. Right?
Right.
I'm way into certain comics, and so I go back, I do the research, I dig in, I go way deeper than anybody ever needs to go to understand that character.
Right.
And
but it's rewarding, isn't it?
It is, to me, for that. But I try not to be a dick about it. And you do it with such a level of passion that most people will be like, whoa, you really like Star Wars.
Yeah.
But I'm also at that level of fandom where I want to be fed.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just try to absorb as much as possible.
Right.
Whereas some people are like, you just really like it.
No, that's, I mean, isn't that the brilliant thing about Star Wars, or, fandoms in general, deep universes like this, or Marvel, or DC, are so layered, you have your main stories on the front, but they add stuff for you to go deeper and deeper, and you can enjoy that, or you don't have to, and you still get a good experience.
And that's always been the amazing thing for me with Star Wars, is that you have the original 4, 5, 6, and it was a good story. Right?
A very good one, yeah.
It was shot in the 70s, so, I mean,
70s,
it
80s,
could have been...
late 70s, early 80s, yeah.
It could have been made cooler, but for that time, it was an awesome story.
Right.
Awesome effects, awesome everything. And then you add 1, 2, and 3,
mm-hmm.
and people have their feelings about
those. People have their feelings about the prequels. Disclaimer, I do like the prequels. So I'm just going to put that...
I grew up with the prequels.
Yeah.
I told my wife about them because we went through and rewatched them.
Right.
And we were both thrown off by the amount of CGI.
Yeah.
And the way I explained it to my wife was that filmmakers had a brand new toy.
Yeah. Well,
and they played with it until they broke it.
Well, not only that, but George Lucas has expressed multiple times that he was dissatisfied with what he was able to do in the original trilogy because he just couldn't at the time. So when he finally did, he went a little overboard with it. But you know what? I can respect that because he did absolutely everything in his power to bring his vision to life. Yeah. Other people be damned.
He bought a Ferrari and drove it till the wheels fell off.
Exactly.
So
he bought a Ferrari and named it Jar Jar.
Yeah. See, and that's the thing is I don't understand. I get Jar Jar is a stupid character,
mm-hmm.
but for what he was,
he was good. He was a seamlessly edited CGI character.
And I know I'm going to get a lot of hate from any friends who watch this, but it seems to me that people hate him just because he's stupid and he's a dumb character.
I mean, he was. Let's face it. He was poorly written and annoying. But the fact that, he blends in so perfectly and the actors work so well, the physical ones work so well around him, that is an incredible feat.
Right. Well, you can't tell me that C-3PO wasn't the original attempt at that. Yeah. I mean, how much physical humor did he have? And he was just this stuck-up, British-sounding protocol droid. And so to say that is acceptable, but then Jar Jar, who is admittedly an idiot.
Except Jar Jar did it to a worser degree and had a more annoying voice / quality around it. But it doesn't deserve a lot of the hate that people give it.
Yeah, I think if the original 3 would have came up in a different time because not the original 3, the first 3.
Yeah.
They came up as the internet came up.
Yeah.
And as internet trolls
right.
came up. Which is why I think that people hate every single movie ever now.
Well,
there's
they
no,
do.
There's no
everyone...
movie. There's no movie that people like anymore.
Well, and the amount of armchair directors that are out there these days,
yeah.
everybody knows better than the people who are actually doing it, and it's gross.
Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, I like the original 3.
Yeah.
I know you also have feelings about this new trilogy coming out.
To be fair, a lot of my... Okay, first off, I love The Force Awakens. Mm-hmm. I have complained quite a bit about The Last Jedi, but upon recent viewings, my feelings for it have kind of settled out to the point where, yeah, it's a flawed movie, but that's it. It's not the demonic entity people make it out to be.
If I understand your
it's not the
main
Star
complaint,
Wars killer.
Yeah, if I can flesh out your main complaint accurately, mm-hmm. it's the pacing. I mean, more than anything.
A little bit, but the main complaint that I have with it is the same complaint that I had with 2 other midquels that we've had recently, mm-hmm. Alien Covenant and Halo 5 Guardians. The Last Jedi, Covenant, and Halo 5 were all supposed to be the middle act of a trilogy set up by a ambitious mm-hmm. first act, which would be Halo 4, The Force Awakens, and Prometheus, all of which took risks and did really well for it, but got intense backlash from people who don't want to accept change, who want mm-hmm. things to be exactly what they're used to, who don't want to open their minds to new stuff. And so what we got is now, the people who want to make money off the second act going, we need to change what we were originally going to do so that these people want to, purchase it and right. view it again. So what we get, instead of the correct follow-up to the first part, is a kind of mixed, unfulfilling is the word I would use.
How are you going to feel when the next one comes out and everything that you felt was a waste of time is super important?
Well, yeah.
It's just this beautiful setup to
then I will be very
epic.
Happy. But with some of these, it's not going to happen because of the one. Yeah, it's
filler. It's
some of the abrupt 180s that they did where, like, for example, with The Last Jedi, in some cases, The Last Jedi's willingness to change what The Force Awakens set up was good. Like, spoiler alert for The Last Jedi, I know it's been since December since it came out, but I'm just saying, to be fair. Like the setup of Snoke. I hear this one a lot where you've seen The Last Jedi, right? Mm-hmm. And they just kill Snoke.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, why did they do that? Snoke was just a wasted character. But you're missing... They're missing the point entirely with that one. Snoke didn't matter whatsoever. The whole arc was around Kylo, and Snoke's
right.
death was the next stepping stone for Kylo. So that worked perfectly. But there were some things that just didn't quite work out right. And I'm still struggling with my feelings about Luke Skywalker on this one.
Okay, so we will get to a lot of this.
Yeah, I'm going to get carried away.
Second. No, it's fine. I love your energy, and I'm not trying to cut you off.
No, you're fine. I know
I just know that if we keep going, I'm going to jump in and ruin my next part.
Okay. No, that's fine. That's fine. And just let me know, because I will start talking and talking and talking about this
That's
stuff.
fine. Hey, if this turns into a 4-hour podcast,
It can't. My wife said I have to be home before 11. But we'll do what we can.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Okay, so what is your favorite Star Wars movie and why?
Rogue One.
Rogue One.
And see, it could have been Empire, because Empire, out of the rest of them, that being The Empire Strikes Back, of course, is like objectively the least flawed of the movies and the most emotionally charged. And it is amazing. I mean, it is. It's a fantastic movie. However, Rogue One was so tightly written, and I feel like it was even more emotional because you watch these characters struggle from planet to planet until they finally sacrifice themselves for the greater cause, which allows, by the way, the rest of the original movies to happen in the first place. And of course there's the Battle of Scarif, which was the coolest damn thing ever.
My thoughts on Rogue One were, it was an amazing movie. Going into it, I knew it was going to be an amazing movie.
Yeah.
So I really like when you have a franchise who does one thing really well.
Right.
Which Star Wars does space battles really well.
Yes.
And they do battles on Hoth really well.
Yes.
And in the jungle really well. You know, places that either are completely barren or places that are so hemmed in that you have to focus on the action. So whenever they took it to the beach, and it's open, but then it's not, and it adds more dynamic to it, and they just change it. They added so many elements from so many other movies and battles into that one new type of map, that it just instantly, I was like, yes, I want to say. Okay, so the part that sold me just in the previews of watching it was they're on the beach, he's got the rocket launcher, and the I call them AT-ATs.
The AT-MT, or the AT, it was the all-terrain, it was AT-ACT. All-terrain assault cargo transport, I think. So I'm probably getting that wrong. It was definitely all-terrain something cargo transport.
The scene where that one's walking, it looks over, and the rocket hits it in the face,
and it goes,
and
Baze is going, oh crap!
just to see the whiplash of the head, and I think what got that for me was because I love the Battle of Hoth so much. But it was clearly sticks. And claymation and models moving.
It wasn't claymation. They had actual mod, but it was stop motion.
It was stop motion,
and it was very clearly stop motion. But and it looked great for 1980. But it has
awesome scene. But those are some of my favorite. I love the big machinery that they add into it,
even though it's completely nonsensical. Walkers don't make any damn sense, but they're so cool.
And so I love the fact that they could add a whole new dynamic motion. And it's a silly little thing, but that's, as soon as I saw that, I was like, I'm going to love this movie.
It's the silly little things that sometimes make it. I mean, and especially because that is a very realistic response to a walker's head getting hit with a rocket, and it looks good, and it serves the ability of implanting you there. You are there because that's what would happen. It's very realistic. But on Rogue One, think about this. If it didn't have the Battle of Scarif, the movie would have sucked.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like, because, I mean, okay, so Jeddah and then Edu, you know, those were good, but they were all building up to Scarif.
Right.
And if they had ended on something less climactic, it would have sucked.
Well, and
good moves there.
I really enjoyed the fact that other than the whole Death Star thing, other than it tying into that, nothing built up to anything else. Right. None of those characters carried on.
And that's it was perfect. It was like Halo Reach.
Well, and because whenever you go into it, there was all kinds of, is this Rey's mother? Is this where we meet Rey's mom?
Which is
this where we do this? Is this where we do that? And I had my own theories about how each character would end up. Because that's what I figured it was. I was like, all right, they're trying to get this going so that they can implement new pieces to the trilogy, and I love that they are making movies that are completely outside of the original story arc.
Well, yeah, and see, but so far Rogue One was the only one to do that, because Solo is obviously directly tied to characters from the actual movies, and it wasn't very good.
Only to a certain extent. Solo was so much fun to watch.
It was fun, but it wasn't good in the same way that Rogue One was good.
But it wasn't supposed to be. It was supposed to be a fun movie.
No, but it was a Star Wars story, and my understanding of the Star Wars stories was stories that were disconnected more or less from the main characters, but still part of the same universe.
Yeah, and this was a little bit. We'll have to see what the next one does. Yeah. It's obviously building up to another one.
Yeah, well, we'll see now because it tanked.
Well, we've talked about why it tanked. It tanked because of when they released it.
We all know why it tanked, but it doesn't change the fact that it tanked. And studios, especially Disney, do not like movies tanking.
It was fun on the level of Indiana Jones for me.
Yeah, and that's fine. That was great, you know? I mean, the Kessel Run had me on the edge of my seat.
Now, one thing I didn't like is I feel like they overplayed Lando.
Yeah, you mentioned
I feel like
that.
at the very beginning, and he kind of eased into it, but at the very, and I know he was supposed to be extra cocky because he's showing off
everything he's got.
It seemed
and he
like,
had the Falcon, and he had the ladies, and
it just seemed like he was trying too hard. It's almost like whenever a guy walks in and he's trying to impress everybody for the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then he realizes, oh yeah, people already like me.
Yeah. Well, and the problem I had with it was, and this isn't a fault of the movie, it's just that the This Is America meme came out like right before Solo or something, and so all I could see was Donald Glover doing that face from the video, you know, where he looks like he's taking a dump, and that's all I could think about every time he was on screen. And I was like, this is America. Watch how you tripping. But, I mean, I think he did the role justice. I do think he did.
Yeah, I think he did an amazing
Because there was
job.
one point, I don't remember what it was because I only saw the movie once, but there was one point he said something or he cracked a grin or something. I was like, holy crap, that's younger Billy D. Williams.
Yeah.
And, you know, not a lot of actors can do that. Unfortunately, the guy who played...
Especially one that iconic.
Yeah, but unfortunately, the guy who played Solo, he never seemed like Harrison Ford to me, so it just felt disconnected the whole time.
I think Harrison Ford's character has been tainted since seeing him as an old man in...
Yeah, maybe.
The Force Awakens.
Maybe a little bit. But, I mean...
Because if you think back to Episode 4,
yeah,
he was pretty cocky.
Yeah.
He had that swagger about him.
Yeah.
But he's also supposed to be just a dumb kid.
Right.
He doesn't know anything yet because he just got into the job.
Right.
All right, so how did you feel when Disney took over?
I was excited. I mean, of course, I was also... I mean, I didn't know what to think back then. I was like, okay, yeah, sure, the mouse has it. We're hoping for higher production values now.
Because some people's faces melted whenever it happened.
I'm sure they always will, and they always do. Anytime anything changes. And, like, right up until the last half a year or so, I thought they were doing just fine. I mean, we got 2 excellent movies that I have very few complaints about. I just happen to have a few more complaints about The Last Jedi and a few more complaints about Solo, but they have the chance to pick it up. It's just they missed a few chances with those last 2.
Like you said, they're not series killers.
No, nobody's a fracking series killer, man.
Okay.
People are being too dramatic.
There are some movies that are series killers.
Okay, sure, but...
Crystal Skull was a series killer.
Yeah, okay. Well, Indiana Jones was already dead.
Yeah.
You know,
They should have left that one alone.
Crystal Skull wasn't a serious killer. It was an attempt at a revival that didn't work. It's like they were trying to, they're trying to shock and clear, but then his heartbeat didn't come back up,
Yeah, I was real nervous. Not so much when they bought Star Wars, just because I like the Pirates movies.
Yeah, sure.
I think they're fun.
Yeah.
There's adventure. There are emotional points. So I thought they could hit those. I got nervous when they bought Marvel.
Oh, yeah. See, I didn't even know about that. I wasn't paying attention to Marvel at the time. I only really got into Marvel right after Ultron came out. See, I had liked the movies before, but Ultron made me appreciate them. And that's when me and my wife delved into it.
And that's funny because Ultron is seen as the ultimate disappointing filler
I know
movie.
what it is, and screw that. Ultron is one of the best movies in the MCU. Me and my wife saw it 4 times in theaters, and we've seen it 3 times at home. It is a good-ass movie. It does the things that the first Avengers didn't do, and it does them correctly. It explores the Avengers as humans.
Right.
Because that is awesome,
Except for Thor. Thor's not human.
Well, Thor got kind of shafted, but that's okay because we got Ragnarok later.
I loved Ragnarok.
Yeah, Ragnarok. Well, Ragnarok was awesome.
Yeah.
But one of the whole themes about Ultron, and that something Ultron was trying to do in the story, was make the Avengers question: Are we more harm than help? And that question rebounded into Civil War and even into Infinity War and everything in between.
And that's why they say it was a filler, because whenever they wrote it, the writers even came out like, yeah, this is just building to something.
Yeah, but that's what middle parts do.
Also, if you didn't have Ultron, if you didn't have that whole story arc, then nothing else would make sense.
Yeah, nothing.
How else would you create Vision?
Or how else would you have the excellent movie that was Civil War?
Right.
You know, and Infinity War wouldn't have been nearly as interesting.
Yeah.
So, you know, and people just don't understand. You need movies like that to explore the characters
and honestly,
a bit more.
Okay, so here's the thing, too. If you go back into some comic book history, there was a comic story called Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
And it was set in the future where Ultron had taken over and killed pretty much everybody.
And people complain about the Age of Ultron, the movie lasting 3 days.
No, here's the thing. They hated the storyline that was written. They hated it. Universally hated it.
In the comics?
Yes. They
really?
hated the comics. It was.
So what are they complaining about now?
Yeah, it was a huge flop. People absolutely despised it. And then whenever they came out with this movie, I'm like, this is way better than the story.
Yeah.
And people are like, well, this wasn't.
It's not like the comics. Now, I'm probably coming from an advantaged point because I have never read a Marvel comic. I mean, I've read a few Spider-Mans.
Yeah.
Because he's one of my favorite heroes, but I've never really gotten into any of the Marvel comics. So the MCU is my first approach to it. So I don't have the problem of going, oh, it's not like the comics. But I appreciate that they do that because it allows them to do things their way, and obviously they're doing it right.
Yeah. So going back to Disney taking over Star Wars, how did you feel about them removing everything that wasn't the movies as canon?
I saw it coming.
No books. Even the old comic books before they took over Marvel, those are no longer canon.
Yeah, I saw it coming. Because, you know, with all the stuff that has been put in Legends, you know, I mean, we're talking like, you know how far they stretched in Legends, right?
Oh, yeah.
Some like 50 years after the battle, further than that.
They'd killed everybody off, they had all new characters.
And they'd already had pre-established stories like the Yuuzhan Vong, which was awesome, by the way. That's an epic storyline. But of course, if they're making sequels to Return of the Jedi, of course they would have to do that. So now, what I appreciate about it is that they didn't totally invalidate them. They just made them into their own pocket universe.
Right.
Which, I mean, that's really all it is. It's not like they deleted all of it. It's still there. Right. Just imagine in your head, where you have Return of the Jedi, and then it branches left, and it branches right. And on one side you have Legends, and on the other side you have canon.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that. They've never insulted it. They've never invalidated it.
Right. They just said all of this
is
not
going
to be what we follow.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's still there, you know? So it's just another case of people getting mad over nothing.
How did you feel about the animated series? Did you watch any of them?
Yes!
Rebels or anything
Clone
like that?
Wars was good. Rebels was better.
Yeah?
I haven't seen season 4 yet, but... Shh. Stop it. My phone. But, oh my God, Rebels had a little bit of a rocky start, but it turned into the Firefly of Star Wars. Just this awesome band of characters going around on their own Millennium Falcon, and the ties into the original trilogy are nice, but I just really enjoy what they do with the characters. Man, in season 2, they delved into some dark stuff. Like, they found the Sith planet of Malachor. They brought Darth Maul back.
In Rebels, that's where you explore. You're introduced to Kanan.
Kanan Jarrus, yeah.
Okay. He's got his own series,
That's
too.
right, yeah.
Which is pretty good.
Yeah.
I just got to the point where I had so many comics every month that I couldn't afford.
Yeah, I haven't read any of it.
So yeah, if you want to check that out, I suggest getting the trades. Just because they're still writing it.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. It was interesting. I had never heard anything about them because we got rid of cable.
Yeah.
So now we just have Netflix. And
yeah, sure.
That comes in and out. Sometimes they'll have Rebels. Other times they won't.
Dude, I will let you borrow the DVDs. I've got them if you want them.
Sweet. How did you feel, just in general, how did you feel about the comic?
Of the Darth Vader?
Yes.
Oh, dude. On the cover, it says, "This series is worthy of Darth Vader's greatness." I don't think I could put it better. I mean, it is hard.
It's a bold statement.
It's hard to write Darth Vader properly, and it's hard to write him good. Because there are so many tropes you could fall into. But this, I felt, stuck closest to Darth Vader's actual character. And the fact that it took place between A New Hope and Empire was so much more fascinating.
Yeah.
Also, I loved the droids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And we'll get into that here in a second. How do you feel about, kind of meshing a bunch of questions here, how do you feel about the comic books set in canon?
Of the ones that I've read, I'm very pleased with them so far.
Okay.
The problem with Legends was that it was not heavily mediated by one overarching company,
Right.
you know,
Because a million people wrote it.
Right. So you had some that was really good, and you had stuff that was utter baloney.
Yeah.
So we don't have that with the canon comics or the books or anything. Everything is more or less
Right.
the same level of quality, and it's pretty good quality. And if there are more like the one you had me read,
Yeah.
I would be very pleased.
This is volume 1 of 6.
Ooh.
So you have 5 more episodes.
I didn't know. I thought this was the whole thing.
Nope.
Ooh. That makes me happy.
It gets amazing. I know I'm sinning right now for podcast because I'm doing something that nobody else can see me doing.
He's looking in a box of I'm assuming comics, and he's pulling something
Here's
out.
the last issue.
The last
Look at
issue.
Look at the art on that.
Holy crap!
So explain people what you're looking at.
Okay, so it's... there's a lot going on here. It's the second Death Star, but lower it melds into Vader's helmet, like perfectly a big rendition of Vader's helmet. And there's a ton of X-Wings in Red Squadron pattern flying from the upper left to the bottom right in diagonal formation. Some are closer, some are farther. It looks... Is this meant to represent the Battle of Endor?
Yes.
Oh god, I cannot wait to get into this. Talk about a good space battle.
I'm not sure. See, I read these so long ago, I don't even remember where this ends. I'm wanting to say it ends right before...
Right before Return to the Jedi?
Yes.
Okay. Well, don't spoil too much for me.
But again, see, I had so much fun reading through this because, like I said, it's been years since I've read through this. But yeah, just the art, the cover art on these things is amazing. And for me, it's I've always hated when you're watching a movie and then everybody's like, "Oh, you should have read the books because it ties this movie to this movie."
A movie should be able to stand on its own.
Okay, so that brings me back to my question. How do you feel about a comic book that a minority of the Star Wars fandom is going to ever see set in canon?
This is when it's done right. Because some, like... Okay, and I'll admit this has been a somewhat recent fault of the Halo universe. They got over-ambitious with their interconnected universe, and when Halo 5 came out, a lot of stuff in the game didn't make sense to a lot of people because there's a huge span of comics between Halo 4 and 5 that told this massive story, and Halo 5 picked up from that, but not everybody had read it. So that's where you get into trouble, because the fact of the matter is not everybody that sees the movie or plays the game is going to or want to read the comics. So when that happens, that creates a massive disconnect that does not satisfy the consumer. This is when it's done right, because you can go from movie to movie and perfectly understand it, but this adds flavor. Oh, yeah. So much good flavor.
It adds so much more depth. It makes me enjoy the original 3 more.
To a bigger extent, right.
Yeah. The original 3 are so much better now that I've read this.
Right.
Okay, so getting into issue 1. We see Jabba. I've never been a huge fan of Jabba.
He's a great idea.
He's all in the original 3, he always just seemed like somebody who was there, who would be...
He was mentioned once in New Hope, once in Empire, and was in the first third of Return of the Jedi.
But they never established him as somebody you should be afraid of.
They established him as somebody Han Solo was afraid of.
Right, but
other than that...
there was never any reason.
Right.
Okay, so we have Vader...
We just knew that he was gunning for Han.
Right, we have Vader walk into Jabba's
Jabba's
palace
palace.
or whatever, and he just starts killing people on the way in.
He kills 2 guards who get in his way.
And then, so, Jabba walks in, and this kind of establishes Jabba as kind of a badass to me.
A little bit.
The fact that Vader walks in and he's like,
what? What do you want? Yeah.
What are you doing?
Jabba was always very confident, and why shouldn't he be? He's a master crime lord with a lot of hired help.
But I think it's also awesome that you start off the comic with Vader saying, because Jabba says, you killed 2 of my people and you think I'm going to deal with you? Mm-hmm. You think I'm going to handle that?
I'm going to help you out?
Yeah. And Vader goes, I've only killed 2. Don't make me reconsider my generosity.
Right. And that is such a Vader thing to say, isn't it?
Yeah. I could have wiped out everyone.
Yeah.
But
I didn't because I'm feeling good today.
But he could have even said that. He could have said, well, I can kill everybody.
Yeah.
And it would have gotten the same point across.
But they didn't. They wrote it like Vader would say.
I have only killed 2.
Yeah.
Don't make me reconsider
You know what line that
generosity.
reminds me of? Footsteps on the ceiling. You know what line there? It reminds me of, I have altered the deal. Pray I do not alter it further.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so, why is Vader such a badass?
Why isn't he?
I mean, why?
He walks around in a big black metal suit. He's 6'7" something.
Right.
He's a Dark Lord of the Sith, and he's always pissed off because he's in pain, and he never was able to deal with his loss.
Right. So one thing that I didn't get, whenever this interaction's going on, and there's not a whole lot that is important, at least to explain on the podcast. They're talking about a deal. Some stuff's going to go down. Vader's trying to get people on his side, and then he's going to be like, okay, when I come back, this is what's going on. But then it just keeps zooming in on the floor.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what's going on.
Okay,
I know the Rancor
That's
pit's
the Rancor
there.
pit. Okay, so what's happening here is he's stepping closer, and Jabba's like, oh, he's going to step on the cage, and I'm going to drop him in.
Right.
And Vader, I think, realizes that and steps back, and Jabba goes, oh, he's not as stupid as I thought he was.
But look, if you look at nice and smooth and pretty, then they focus on him stepping on it again.
Right.
And then when he steps off, there's footprints.
Yeah, because he's stepping backwards.
But it's a smooth metal surface.
Oh, I feel like this is dust.
Oh, okay. I was like, why is he like? Is he using the force to
He's
clench it up?
What he's using is massive, big metal boots. And if you scuff that on a hard floor like that, especially remember we're on Tatooine. Sand is gonna be everywhere. Where there's sand, there's dust.
I get it.
They probably kicked a little bit up.
They did a bad job of distinguishing between dust and
yeah.
metal.
I'll give him that. I got it, but I see what you're talking about now.
So anyway, Jabba shows his balls and just says, "Hey, kill this dude."
Yeah.
And then, I mean, things go the way that things go.
Because it's Vader.
Yeah.
How else is it going to go?
Because it's Vader.
Oh, right. You're Darth Vader.
And then the best part is, Jabba goes, all right, let's figure this out.
All right, I got it. Yeah.
After you've killed everybody.
And then he chokes him.
Yeah, let's go ahead and make a deal. Like he was just testing him.
And Vader goes, be careful not to choke on your aspirations, Director. Ooh, whoops, wrong person.
Yeah. So, from reading this and the other series that Vader has from whenever he was younger, I think he's just the galaxy's best troll.
Vader?
Yeah.
He might be.
I think he really is. He's just super, and I don't want to say it's passive-aggressive because he's ultra-actively aggressive.
Yeah. He's a Sith Lord, of course he is.
But the whole, I've only killed 2, don't make me reconsider my generosity, is just like the first in a long line of him just trolling people.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's super confident, he's super powerful, and he's super pissed. That's basically what a troll is.
Yeah.
If you think about it.
What we see is Palpatine blaming Vader for the Death Star.
Right.
I don't understand why he's doing that.
Because,
I get why he's...
He says a line, the Emperor says a line in here. Let me read it. Let's see. Yeah, here.
He says, "You're the only one alive."
Yeah, he says.
take
He
my-
says, "Yes, Tarkin, Monty, and the others share the blame, but you are the only one still living to suffer my anger." So,
Right.
there you have it.
I get that.
Yeah.
But it's also Vader.
Yeah. Well.
Vader didn't want the Death Star to begin with.
No, not at all. But the Emperor did, so that overrides everything.
Yeah, I just think...
And remember, this is not the first time Vader has failed him. His first and biggest failure was always Mustafar.
Right.
Because when Anakin lost to Obi-Wan on Mustafar, Darth Vader lost almost all his potential.
Right.
He can never wield Force lightning. You know, he can never be young and fit.
Well, he's also bigger and slower, and he's always relying on...
He's always relying on the suit.
Yeah.
It hinders him so much. And the Palpatine sees him as, okay, yeah, I'm going to keep him because he's a useful toy, but the second I find somebody better, he's done. And I think that was more solidified by his failure at the Battle of Yavin.
Right. Yeah, like I said, these comics have really opened my eyes to a lot of extra that go into it.
Well, and stuff like this, you know, Lucas never even thought of.
But it also seems to be that Palpatine's just a dick to him just to do it.
I mean, maybe. He is Palpatine.
Right.
And that is kind of how Sith Lords interact, you know, the rule of two. Because Palpatine knows if they keep following the rule of two, which is how the Sith have succeeded so far, Vader's eventually going to try to kill him.
Yeah.
Which, he, you know, of course he does.
Not in the way that...
Not in the way he thought, no.
Yeah.
But, so, you know, why would they be buddy-buddy with each other?
Right, but then that's the thing that always got me too, is if I raise you to one day murder me, then why would I raise you properly?
Because evil doesn't make any damn sense.
Like, okay, so I would definitely teach you in a way that left giant flaws that I could exploit.
For the Sith, that would mean that you're raising a weaker apprentice, and that means if he eventually took over after you died, or he did manage to kill you, he would not be able to continue the rule of two.
Right. This is the very beginning of a rift that we begin to see.
Right.
And
you know what caused that rift?
Yeah, the Death Star.
No, not at all.
No, it's a
Palpatine lying to him about
right,
Luke.
And it follows up with that. There's a story that runs side by side with this, just in Star Wars.
Right.
And they touch on it. They do a good job of making this a standalone and still understanding what's going on. But yeah, they explain that it's the first interaction of Luke and Vader, other than whenever he killed Obi-Wan.
Right.
But yeah, it's like their first face-to-face interaction. He's like, "That's my lightsaber." And so he starts kind of putting pieces together.
Yeah. And then he's super pissed when he finds out Luke's last name is Skywalker.
Yeah.
Sorry, did I jump ahead too much there?
You're fine. We'll get to it.
Okay.
By the time we get there, people have forgotten.
Yeah.
Okay, before we get too far into this, he plays a small part in even this story. What are your thoughts in general of Boba Fett?
Boba Fett, I feel like, is a little bit overrated. Like, he's cool. He's a badass, sure. I don't know. I never got the hype over Boba Fett.
We met somebody at a Comic-Con. Me and my friend Kent met somebody at Comic-Con who absolutely hates Boba Fett.
I mean,
because he's never... The only time you ever see him in the originals, he falls into the pit, the Sarlacc pit.
Basically, he didn't do anything in
That's
the
it.
movies. He didn't do anything in the movies.
Yeah.
He walked around in Empire, and he fell into a pit in Jedi.
Yeah.
He looked cool, but other than that, I wouldn't hate him so much if he wasn't so overhyped and everywhere.
And it was just funny to me that even in the comics, so far, he
hasn't done anything. Like, yeah, he said he did some stuff, but we didn't see it, did we?
Right. It's just everything. Everything is something that he tells you that he's done.
Yeah.
He's really just at his house eating Cheetos.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, I bet we probably see more of him confronting Luke in that other comic, right?
I don't remember.
Oh,
but I'm
God.
wanting to say that not really.
Are you sure? Because he goes on the whole thing of telling Vader, I
think
battled him, but he got away. We have to see that battle.
I think there's an interaction, but I don't think it's anything.
Oh my God, are you serious?
If it was something amazing, he would have come back with something more than a last name.
I don't know. I feel like what he came back with was perfect.
He would have had like.
Let's face it. He engages Luke and they have a big fight, but they don't. He doesn't manage to get. If Luke was any more skilled, Luke would have killed him probably. And
Maybe
but he was at least at least skilled enough to fight him off.
This is coming from a point of I don't remember what was in the Star Wars.
We better have something where that would be a huge mistake, because then it's just more Boba Fett doing absolutely nothing.
But just thinking about it, you would think he'd come back with something more than a last name.
How?
I don't know. Maybe like his Snapchat code or something like that. But
it's a Star Wars. I don't think we have Snapchat.
They've got to have something.
I hope we don't.
They've got to have something. You know who I love though?
Who?
Is this dude?
The Wookiee?
I'm gonna try to pronounce his name. It is. Where did I write it down?
Black something.
Yeah.
Here. Let me see. It's in here.
Black
Chrysanthemum.
Chrysanthemum. I love that dude.
He's
and
cool.
He comes up a lot more.
Does he?
In like the Star Wars.
You know,
line.
he reminds me of
Chewie.
No, not at all. He reminds me of the Wookiee Hanar in Knights of the Old Republic 2. Hanar was a Mad Claw Wookiee, which means he used his claws, he killed somebody, he went insane, became a bounty hunter, and he was the more aggressive side of the Wookiees we see, like this guy. You know, Chewie, we only see the family-friendly side. But
right.
Man, Wookiees can be mean.
Oh, yeah. Well, they touch on that in Solo also.
Yeah.
I mean...
Well, and the other thing is droids don't rip your arms off when they lose.
Right.
Wookiees are known to do that.
So, this last little bit right here...
Oh my God, this hit me so hard!
It was...
Oh God, that hurts so much.
It was a little confusing.
Why?
Okay, I get what he's doing. Is this a flashback, or is it every time he goes to Tatooine, he kills sand people?
We're talking about Anakin Skywalker.
It's an annual trip.
We're talking about Anakin Skywalker. You best believe every time he visits Tatooine, he gets so filled with pain and rage that he takes it out on the people who killed his mom, because he never got over that.
Right. I get the emotional, and I'm like, okay, like I said, I get it, but also...
By the way, that was the best scene in Attack of the Clones, and anybody who tells me Hayden Christensen can't act, I point them to that scene.
Yeah. I'm a smartass, and so, like I said, the first thing I saw when I saw this was like, is he having a flashback of last time he was at Tatooine, or does he just do this every year?
Every year. Hey, I totally believe
Palpatine, I'm going to take a week.
I totally believe, and Palpatine knew about it, remember?
Right.
In Revenge of the Sith, you remember what you told me about your mother?
Yeah.
And the Sand People? I would totally believe Vader takes an annual trip to slaughter Tuscans. You know what? The funny thing is, he's probably doing the farmers there a favor.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You know, Owen
the Sand People are terrible.
People like Owen and Beru are like, where the hell are the raids? It's time for the raid. It's 12 o'clock. Where's the Sand People?
Yeah.
They're late.
Come on, guys. Let's go.
I have a leg to lose here.
Okay, so we're on issue 2. This cover cracks me up.
Which one?
So, am I crazy, or does the cover make Vader look like he's a model walking down the runway in a cape?
Oh my God, I see it!
Because he's walking, and there's a line of people with their arms crossed.
He's not walking, dude. He's strutting.
The cape is blowing behind him.
The cape's blowing back. He's got this sassy little pose on.
And he's got his head turned to the side.
Yeah.
Like, slightly to the side and up.
But the funny thing, it looks like he's kind of giving you that over-the-shoulder look that models do. You know, when they're like, hey, baby. So, that's Darth Vader going,
also,
hey, baby.
The length of his stride in this picture does not denote that he's walking fast enough to blow his cape back. So that means there's fans.
Yeah. Well, also the fact, because look at how far his feet are not apart, which means he's doing this.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, he's taking small strides. There's got to be a fan there.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
We're probably looking too deep into this, aren't we?
No, we're looking just deep
Just
enough.
the right amount of deep. So what happened next? They encounter, oh yeah, by the way, if you tell me the Corellian Corvette is not the coolest ship in Star Wars, I'll kill you. Because it is. Look at how many engines it has.
Yeah, so what I like about these is we see Vader going in and choking Jabba. We see Vader talking to people. We see Vader intimidating people. We see Vader doing all these backroom deals. And then what I love is they'll throw in, oh, remember how Anakin was like an awesome pilot? Check this out.
Because the only time we ever got to see him fly was A New Hope.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I love that he was always a good pilot.
Right.
Like, even though he's in the suit, he has no peripheral vision.
Right.
He's still a good pilot. And that's encouraging, you know, for somebody who can't fly except in video games.
Yeah. And even while he's flying, he's still kind of trolling people.
Yeah.
For an automated ship, impressive.
Yeah.
He's just such a troll. He's the
other thing I want to bring up.
He's the galaxy's best troll.
The other thing I want to bring up is how the hell do you automate a Corellian CR-90 Corvette? I mean, it's not like it requires as much crew as an IMP-2 ISD, but it's Imperial Star Destroyer. But
I mean, science, obviously.
I mean, I guess, but that is a lot of automation.
That is okay. So,
I mean, it's not like automating a TIE fighter. You know, you gotta have a lot of crew.
I'm also reading Invincible.
Yeah.
And Invincible is 100 and some odd comics of lightly poking fun at comic book tropes.
Oh boy.
And
those are the best.
There's a character in there who's a robot who's a super genius, and they complete this mission, and it was just this big technical display of awesomeness. Mm-hmm. And the guy's like, "Man, how did we do that? I didn't even think that was possible." And Robot goes, "Yeah, it's a lot of science stuff. It'd take a long time to explain. Just know that it did it."
Yeah.
I'm like, that's a perfect example.
That's absolutely right.
There's my friend pointed this out to me too. Have you ever seen Thank You for Smoking?
No.
Well, they were talking about in that movie, this guy is a pitchman for cigarettes. Mm-hmm. And they're trying to figure out how in a movie a guy could smoke in space. Not like in the vacuums, but on the ship.
Right.
And they're like, that's pure oxygen. You would explode. The whole place would explode. He's like, no. All you do is say, well, thank God for that such and such machine over there. I wouldn't be able to have my smokes.
Right. No,
that's all you need to do.
That's what they do with artificial gravity. You know. Okay. So
turn on the artificial graviton.
I was watching this awesome YouTube channel called Space Doc. By the way, check out Space Doc. If you like sci-fi, he reviews ships and tactics for any spacecraft, any sci-fi. Check him out. But he was talking about artificial gravity in sci-fi. Mm-hmm. Like, there's hard sci-fi where they have a spinning section, or they have, Star Wars where it's a gravity. It's a gravity generator. And there's how are they doing that? And if they can manipulate gravity like that, why aren't they using that for faster than light travel or to just throw enemy ships around in space? And the last thing to always fail when the ship's under attack, oxygen will fail, life support will go, power will go, but gravity? Nah, man, you're good.
Well, also, okay, so if you have gravity, that means you have a defined up and down.
Right.
Okay, so how come if I'm in a ship and you fly in, then that would, because there's no gravity in your ship, so wouldn't you immediately just go, boom? You're flying in the vacuum of space,
right.
And then you hit immediate gravity. There is no hovering.
Because that's not how it worked in World War II.
I guess.
Although, and this is from playing Elite Dangerous, which is super hardcore, like hard sci-fi. Applying to physics and everything. When you dock your ship with a rotating station, first thing you have to do is match the orbit.
Right.
Once you come in there's no gravity inside it, but you have to use maneuvering thrusters to touch down.
Yeah, it's like running as fast as a bullet to catch it.
Right. Which, I mean, that's tricky. But if you have a spacecraft, it's easier to do.
Yeah. Well, and science.
Right. But usually I feel like the easiest solution that would be to not have artificial gravity in the hangar.
Mm-hmm.
Once you get out of the hangar, you're good.
Yeah.
But your ships will take off far faster, but you know the reason why they don't in Star Wars, right? Because that's not how it worked in World War II.
Right. So, is this guy's name Tag or Tog?
Tag.
Tag.
At least from what I understand.
Okay.
Tag is all I've heard.
So this guy named Tag has been put in charge of Vader.
By the way, I do have a slight issue with that. I mean, it's only a very slight one, but we saw him in A New Hope, and he was on the Death Star in the conference room when Vader and Tarkin walk in and they shut everybody up. Everybody just assumed he died with the Death Star, but they pull Palpatine pulled some line out of his ass, going, "It is lucky that Tag went back to his precious fleet." So it's like, oh, he survived. But it's kind of just like pulling a character back out of thin air from the grave. Well, I mean, he was never officially dead, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, they definitely exploited an opportunity. But
my point is, they could have put in any other Imperial officer here, and it would have been fine because he's not in this all that much.
Right.
Without having to pull a guy back from the quote unquote dead.
It could just be one of those things to like pull people in.
Yeah, to have more familiar faces.
Yeah, for a familiar character.
And that's fine. Like I said, it's only a slight issue. It's not a big one. It's certainly not a game-breaking one.
I feel like in this issue also, there's a shift, and all of a sudden it turns into a spy novel.
A little bit.
Because there's some sort of mole
you're going on
that they have to find, and everybody's a suspect, and now Vader has a babysitter.
Yeah.
Tag puts a babysitter on him, which ends epically.
Yes.
But so essentially, this whole issue is just kind of setting things up. It doesn't move really fast, and there's a lot of talking, but it's also setting everything up to where we understand things in the future.
Right.
So these issues particularly are kind of hard to write questions for.
Right.
But where does everybody get the nerve to speak to Vader the way they do?
Overconfidence was always their weakness. I mean, they're in the Empire.
I guess, but I've seen Vader choke somebody with the Force.
Yeah.
Like firsthand.
I think it's because he knows he'll have the Emperor's protection should Vader do something.
Right, but don't they also know that the Emperor rewards strength?
Yeah, but I think Tag at the moment also knows the Emperor isn't happy with Vader, because you know, all of a sudden you're the one commanding Vader. How does that happen? Oh, the Emperor's probably pissed at him for something.
Right. And
Vader's
also
in the doghouse.
So, like you said earlier, Palpatine knows Vader will one day kill him.
Or at least try to.
Right. And so, whenever I said I would purposely put things in your way, is that what Palpatine's doing with Tag and Tag's babysitter?
I don't think so. Because again, that would be going against the Sith code, the rule of two.
But it's not, because if he overcomes these two obstacles, then he's proven himself strong.
Yeah, I mean, like Palpatine says later, you know, it's no big deal to me. If these guys win, they're better than you, and I'll take them. If you win, you renew your strength, and I still win.
That's one thing. As much lying as Palpatine does, he's very honest.
Yeah.
He lies when it suits him.
Yeah.
You know, hey, you killed Padme, and also the babies died.
Yeah.
Which suited his.
Although he wasn't entirely wrong either. I mean, he was obviously lying about the babies being dead, but Anakin kind of did kill Padme a little bit.
Yeah, but Padme was being too much.
Padme was being stupid. She could have lived.
She was way into her.
She died of a broken heart. Screw that.
Like, I think it was mostly the crushed larynx, but
that's what I'm saying. But they threw in that line.
Yeah.
Medically, she's completely healthy. For reasons we can't explain, we are losing her. Really, Lucas?
Yeah. You could have just as easily said her body's not recovering from her injuries.
Yeah. But yeah, that's another issue. That's another thing for another time. Keep going.
Right. So one of the many reasons I love Vader is that even when introduced to his babysitter,
he doesn't take shit from anybody.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah.
And he's just like, well, if you're going to watch me, then you better come on because we're doing stuff.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, well, this isn't what we're supposed to be doing. He's like, listen, you either watch me do this, or you sit here and I leave anyway, and then you get in trouble. Which one do you want?
Oh, yeah, you don't mess with Vader, man.
Yeah, he's brilliantly insane.
Yeah.
Also, people keep...
Or insanely brilliant.
Yeah. People keep referring to him as a blunt instrument.
Yeah.
They keep referring to Vader as a blunt... Is this a ruse that Vader puts on?
No, I think it's because that's how Palpatine keeps using him. So that's their impression. Vader... Man, imagine if Vader was in charge instead of Palpatine. There would have been no Death Star. The Rebels probably wouldn't have won.
Right.
Man, I mean, Palpatine was so obsessed with his one singular item of power. Vader knew. You know, it couldn't win that way. But Palpatine always used him as a blunt instrument. Wasted his intellect.
Yeah, one thing I've also noticed is... well, I'll save that for later.
Yeah.
I don't want to... Okay. I'm
We'll
gonna
get to
spoil.
that.
I'm going to spoil my own questions.
Okay.
But yeah, it just seems like Vader is 2 steps ahead of everybody. He's playing 3D chess.
Yep.
And everybody else just keeps saying, "Oh, you're a blunt instrument.
Mm-hmm.
You're just a blunt instrument." Yeah,
and look what he does later.
Until
man.
he jettisons you out into space and
Yeah.
has you know.
Well, or as we're going to talk about, secretly frames you for something, or gets information on you during a raid where you're distracted.
Right.
That's
That
really
was-
clever. We'll get to that.
That was one of the... Okay, so on the next page, he was supposed to go to all of these...
Oh, wait. I want to read this line.
Okay. I think you're about to read what I was going to talk about.
Oh, are you?
No, go for it.
Okay. Okay, so the Empire has repurposed that automated CR-90 Corvette, and they're taking it back to its base. And the base sees it coming, and the guy at the airlock says, "Welcome home, boys. Brought a fine haul of Imperial weapons with you?" And Vader and a ton of stormtroopers step out, and he says, "I have."
Yeah, see?
What a cool line, man!
He's a troll. That's all he is a troll. It's amazing.
Oh, God, yeah.
And also, what I also like is that you see his astromech go and just do his own thing.
do his own stuff.
And you assume that it has to do with this
Something,
mission,
yeah.
right? You haven't seen any indication of anything nefarious happening.
Right.
He just said, "I have a mission. You can come with me, or you can stay and get in trouble."
Right.
And then they go on the mission. Astromech does his thing. But as we see later, the next few pages are just nothing but awesome fight scenes.
Yeah.
Things
Intercut
exploding.
with the astromech doing something.
Yeah.
You're not quite sure what,
Right.
but
he's
it's
just,
doing something.
He's just doing the whole R2-D2 thing where that plug comes out and he turns all the dials.
What is that thing anyway? Like, what's he doing? He just. What's that supposed to do? I don't know. Only R2 knows.
It's a weird computer system that they have in the past.
Or in the future.
This is a long, long time ago.
Yeah, I know. And you know what's funny? I'm going to go off topic here, but you know what's funny was when people bug the hell out of me when they don't know anything about Star Wars and they go, "Well, how can it be a long, long time ago if it's in the future?" How is it in the future?
Yeah,
Earth isn't even in this galaxy.
Yeah.
It's a different galaxy.
It's in a galaxy
it could be
far,
any
far
time.
away. They never even say that they're in the Milky Way galaxy.
Well, obviously they wouldn't be in the Milky Way galaxy because it's in a galaxy very far, far, far away from the Milky Way galaxy.
But couldn't there be many galaxies inside of
No,
our...
that's not how a galaxy works. There are solar systems that make up the galaxy that makes up multiple galaxies make up the universe.
Yeah. I was thinking something else.
Yeah.
But, okay, so a galaxy far, far away could still mean next door.
Oh, sure, it could be in this universe. But we
mean,
would never
like,
get there because of how fast
if you were to read a
travel
map of
works.
the galaxies, it could be, Three Musketeers, Snickers, Milky Way, and then Star Wars.
So you know how we're here in the Milky Way, and we could see Andromeda.
Right.
Do you know what Andromeda is?
It's forever
The
away.
other, it's so freaking far away.
Yeah.
This could be next door to Andromeda for all we know, or it could be further than that.
Or this could be before the Milky Way was created.
It could be, Because that's the wonder of the universe, isn't it?
That's going to be... Hey, we just figured out the ending for the Star Wars movies. They're actually going to create the Milky Way galaxy.
No. See, you're getting that confused with Battlestar Galactica.
Okay, so we see Vader. He's implementing his own plans. He's creating Fall Guys, then undermining the authority of everyone above him. Mm-hmm. And this is what I talk about when I talk about three-dimensional chess.
Quote, unquote, above him.
Yeah, people think that he's this blunt instrument, and then he walks into Tag's office, throws his dead babysitter on the table.
Did he kill him?
Yeah. He looks pretty dead to me.
Oh my god, he did. I just thought he, knocked him out.
Nope. That dude's dead as shit.
You're right. I glossed over that somehow.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Killed him. Killed his babysitter.
I thought he would have left him to Tag.
Well, why would he? Then the babysitter would be like, I didn't do that.
Yeah, but by killing him, Vader could have just...
Dead men tell no secrets.
Well, also dead men tell no tales. So what if Tag goes like, Vader, you just killed this guy and we have no proof that he did anything.
At that point, from that moment where he drops him down and says, he was our mole, you could be like, holy crap, Vader figured out who the mole was. Mm-hmm. Until he says, all right, you got all the information, Astromech?
Bye-bye.
And then he goes, jettison yourself out and implement your suicide protocols.
Yeah. Which that made me sad. I hate seeing droids
And then he goes, droids. One can always trust droids.
That is pure Anakin Skywalker. You know my favorite Anakin Skywalker quote? Life was so much simpler when you're fixing things.
Yeah.
That's so relatable.
I do like how...
Even as a 6-foot, metal-wearing Darth Lord of the Sith,
he's mostly droid.
Yeah.
He's mostly droid at this point. Okay, so...
But let's have this moment for that R2 unit.
All right.
And we keep it moving. Come on.
So, issue 3, we have
By
probably...
the way, I'm going to obsess a little more. That's an R... That's an R3 unit, by the way. So just...
All right, for everybody who was wondering.
You can tell by the conical head.
The next issue, we get introduced to one of my favorite characters...
Wesley's gal.
Ever.
Yeah.
Dr. Aphra.
Does she have her own series?
She has her own comic series,
good,
yes.
Good.
It is pretty good. It's set up very much like Indiana Jones.
Mm-hmm. But in space.
Yeah.
In a galaxy far, far away. A long time ago.
Maybe.
Definitely.
We don't know what part of the galaxy
No, but
she's
another galaxy other than here is very far, far away.
Well, we don't know what galaxy she's in hers.
No, but it's still far, far away from
They don't have the intro.
Even the closest galaxy
Maybe she traveled...
is still far, far away.
Maybe she traveled to the Milky Way.
No, she'd be dead.
You don't know that.
She'd be dead. Yeah, I do.
They can travel at light speed.
Okay, in Mass Effect Andromeda, with a ship traveling at faster than light, it took them 600 years to get to the Andromeda. Mm-hmm. So, sorry.
From where?
From the Milky Way.
Yeah, but we don't know where they're at. And
right, so how the hell would she get to the Milky Way? She'd die.
Hey, listen, science. We talked about this.
Right, I forgot about the magical technologies you can make in science fiction.
Okay, so here's what she did. She figured out a way to cut a wormhole into the Star Trek universe, and then got beamed up, went there, came back.
Sure, hey, it's sci-fi. Anything can happen, right? If I wasn't embracing that, I wouldn't be a good writer.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Okay, so tell me she doesn't deserve her own movies. How fun would her movies be?
Oh, man, I would love a movie with these three. I would love that way more than Solo or anything else we're getting, because it would fit perfectly like a Star Wars story.
These two droids.
Oh my god, they're the best.
So Dr. Aphra is the Indiana Jones of this whole thing. She goes in, she tries to take stuff, but, okay, here's my question. Is she really Indiana Jones, or is she the dude that steals the golden monkey from Indiana Jones once he gets out of the temple?
Yeah?
I feel like she's more in line with...
Yeah, you may be right. I didn't think about that.
She's more in line with the guy who worked for the Nazis.
Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, yeah, that's what she does, so sure, I'll go with that.
So Dr. Aphra is we get introduced to her because she's breaking into this giant vault, and she's going for something. We don't know what it is as of yet, but there's all these nanobots and the alarm sounding and whatnot. Laser beams.
By the way, the alien that she's talking to. Little fun fact. Where is he? The alien that she talks to is a Polis Mawson. Remember from Revenge of the Sith?
Okay.
Where Obi-Wan and Yoda and Padme go to before Padme dies. They're on that little moon. That's a Polis Mawson. Okay. I was very surprised to see one here because they don't get outside their moon very much. Also, I was especially pleased to see droidicas.
Yeah?
Yeah, even modified droidicas, but droidicas nonetheless. You know, that is a reminder, hey, the Clone Wars happened.
Yeah.
It was a long time ago, but it happened, and droidicas are still one of the best damn pieces of killing machinery you can get.
That's right.
By the way, the Empire continued to use droidicas for policing other worlds and infantry support well after Return of the Jedi.
Well, you know why they stopped using them.
Because you couldn't have a droid army.
Well, I mean, by A New Hope, they stopped using them because the CGI ran out. I mean...
Yeah. Guys, we ran out of CGI.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll have to make a miniature of the Death Star for blowing it up. What's this about the Death Star blowing up? You're gonna do what now?
I need more pay.
Yeah. Hold on. If I'm gonna get blown up, I need to get paid more for this role. By the way, have you ever thought about the destruction of the Death Star being equivalent to 9/11?
No, I haven't.
Okay. The Death Star is controlled by the ruling government, right? And a bunch of terrorists come and blow it up and kill millions of people on it.
That is true. But...
I mean, I know it blew up planets. I know they killed Alderaan. But how many people do you think were on the Death Stars that didn't deserve to die?
That's a fair point. And I've thought about that aspect of it. I've never related it to 9/11 because I love America.
Well, no, of course. No, absolutely. I love America too. But I'm just juxtapositioning it with a real world event.
Anybody who makes flight lists on who can fly on a plane and who can't, I love America.
Yeah, me too. I don't get out of my house much, so I don't need to worry about that, but I love America very much. Happy to be here, guys. Yeah.
But yeah, I've thought about that too, is that there were some people who just went home to their children.
Man, think about the janitors. How many janitors do you think the Death Star had to employ?
Do you ever watch Robot Chicken?
Yeah. I've seen all the Star Wars ones.
Whenever they touch on it all the time.
I know.
So,
and they all died.
There's a comic. This is off topic. There's a comic that came out.
Tell me you're talking about Tag and Bink are dead.
No.
No, we should talk about them.
It has nothing to do with Star Wars. Again, I'm gonna send. Where is it? It's in Secret Wars. It is probably the greatest comic ever.
Yeah.
It's a single shot.
He's digging, guys. He's digging.
Sorry.
Hey, can I examine your Nerf guns?
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, sweet. Dual pistols.
I'll edit this part out. Don't worry.
That's fine. I don't care.
We'll cut this in post. Here we go.
Or we might not. I don't know.
Yeah, so it's called Hank Johnson, Agent of Hydra.
Oh boy.
And so it follows this guy in just like a day of Hydra.
Uh-huh.
So it opens up
Hydra from Marvel, by the way.
Yeah. Nick Fury busts in, kills a guy, knocks out Hank, and then Hank goes home and he's holding like a ice pack to his face. And his wife comes in with a bunch of screaming babies. And she goes, Hank, did you make the lunches? And then the kids are screaming. He goes, I'm fine, thanks. Nick Fury just kicked me in the head. No big deal. Director of S.H.I.E.L.D. He's like, he killed Gary.
He killed Gary.
Like, it's just a bit, like, he killed Gary.
Man, but you don't think about that.
Right? So I imagine that on whatever planet that some of the guys had to go back to, like, hey, did you hear Frank died? What? Yeah, his office exploded.
He was on the... Oh, and have you heard of the Ewok Holocaust?
No, I haven't.
Okay, Return of the Jedi, the second Death Star is above Endor, right?
Uh-huh.
And it blew up. Where do you think those pieces fell?
Black hole?
Oh, no. I mean, actually, yes, in a story, there... In one of the other crummier legend stories, pieces of it, including Darth Vader's glove, got sucked into a wormhole and another place. However...
The Marvel Cinematic Universe?
no, in Star Wars.
Oh, okay.
It fell into a water planet. But, no, there is a theory that all those pieces rained down on the Ewoks and killed them. And are we any worse off? Probably not.
Yeah. Well, the Ewoks are terrible.
Yes. You want to talk about Jar Jar Binks? Talk about the Ewoks first.
So anyway, Dr. Aphra is just awesome.
I love the slide on this thing. Yes, she is.
And then whenever she meets Vader, okay, so we talked about Vader being a giant troll. Mm-hmm. Aphra is an enormous troll as well.
Yeah. Oh,
so
absolutely.
from the time she meets him, she keeps calling him the wrong name. Mm-hmm. Instead of calling him Lord Vader, I think she calls him Your Highness, Illustriousness, Your Majesty.
You know who else does that? Han Solo.
To Vader?
No, to
to everyone? To anyone who's
Oh,
not
I just figured
Han
out.
Solo?
She's clearly Han Solo's sister.
There you go.
No.
That would ruin the story for me.
Yeah. Exactly, right?
Also, I like how... so as they're talking, she's explaining what she was doing. Vader wants to create a droid army. Mm-hmm. It makes sense because that's what he knows. He was around during the Clone Wars.
Oh, and you know what? That line we talked about, how you can always trust droids, that wasn't relatable. That's where he came up with the idea.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it in like a, you can always trust droids. Maybe I can trust them for my own army.
So the reason Aphra was...
I just figured that out.
The reason Aphra was in that safe or in that vault was because she was looking for a microchip that went to this protocol droid so that the protocol droid could activate this modified astromech.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's just the rundown of this whole issue.
Long, complicated, but it's okay because it works.
Yeah, so she's explaining this. She's explaining this protocol droid and how he was modified to do enhanced interrogation, but he had this glitch. Mm-hmm. And I like that they refer to a glitch. The glitch is that he drains the blood and collects it of all organic life.
Yep. You know,
that's a glitch.
You know who he reminds me of? HK-47. Have you ever heard of him?
Mm-mm.
Oh my God. You like Star Wars so much, you need to play Knights of the Old Republic for God's sake. It has some of the best characters in the entire saga. HK-47 was an assassin droid built like a Sith Lord, disguised as a protocol droid with the most sardonic sense of humor. But he's a lot like 000 here, except 000 is a little more prissy.
Yeah.
And
I absolutely love reading 000's parts in C-3PO's voice.
But I feel like it's a little more modified because he says A little bit, so it's more like a butlerish type. I don't know.
I still love reading it in C-3PO's voice.
It's very close. Same
because
accent.
of the things he says.
Yeah.
Just I don't know. He always wants to kill people. So they activate this this battle droid, who after they made it went crazy and then destroyed the entire ship that he was on. So but this brings up a question, and it's going to come up later too, but I want to talk about it now. How is a droid homicidal?
Glitch. Bad programming.
But homicidal is a term for a misfiring of the human brain.
Sure. Isn't a lot of words you use to describe R2-D2 the same way?
Homicidal?
No. I mean, anything you describe... quirky.
Right, but isn't that just us attributing human elements to an inanimate... Or, well, not an inanimate, but soulless creature?
Astromechs, which this guy is,
Right.
if not routinely memory wiped, develop personalities. That is a fact.
Okay.
It's a weird fact because it shouldn't happen, but it does in Star Wars, and that allows us to love them. That's true.
It allows them to sell things.
Would anybody care about R2-D2 if he didn't have his personality? No.
Right.
He'd just be kind of cool looking.
Yeah.
But he's quirky and funny. And what's this droid's name? K something?
I think it's BT.
BT. Yeah. If BT wasn't homicidal, we wouldn't love him. He'd just be another piece of machinery.
That is true. So, throughout this whole thing, Afra keeps saying, "You're the coolest person I've ever met. This is my dream job," stuff like that. Why is Afra so, not like physically attracted, but why is she so attracted to Vader?
Because Vader represents things that she desires, like power and freedom. And he is the ultimate hero embodiment of that to her. He has all the power, and she thinks he has all the freedom.
She also doesn't know his backstory.
Exactly.
She doesn't know. We have the privilege of knowing where Vader came from,
Right.
who he's working for.
But most people don't know that.
She still thinks that the rebels are evil.
Right. See, she, I think, is a representation of how most of the Empire actually sees Vader.
Gotcha.
Those who haven't been on his bad side.
Yeah.
That's a really awesome dynamic.
I think she's also a little bit of a sociopath, though.
Oh, probably. You'd have to be to...
Well, her
to
job,
identify with this guy.
she states that her job is to activate these sort of weapons and then
Which
sell
could kill
them.
her.
And
Easily.
then she sells them.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very dangerous job, but
Right.
apparently she enjoys it.
So,
She keeps doing it.
is she crazy, or does she just like the promise of adventure?
Sure. I mean, think about what we do for a job.
Yeah.
You know, there's no adventure in it. I mean, it pays the bills. Sure, we like it.
Right.
But, man, every time you turn on one of these things, you could potentially die. That's one hell of a thrill.
Yeah. So everybody keeps bringing up Geonosis.
Geonosis, yeah.
Why does everybody keep bringing up Geonosis like it's going to be an issue for Vader?
Because he was there, remember?
Right, I know he was there.
That's where he kissed Padme the first time.
But everybody's
That's
like...
where he lost his arm.
But everybody's like, we have to go back to Geonosis. Is that going to be a problem for you?
I think it's so we can have the line
he's
that
like,
he says.
No.
Yeah. I think it's... I don't know. I mean, also the Empire has some bad blood with Geonosis because, you know, they killed everybody on it. Which, that's touched on more in Rebels, by the way. I loved that connection.
I have no feelings regarding Geonosis.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I get that things happened, things went down, but, I mean, does he really have issues with it, or is he
Of course he does. It reminds him of
fronting?
Padme.
Well, everything reminds him of Padme.
That's
though.
why he's so pissed off all the time. Padme used to breathe.
So then, yeah. So then it shouldn't bother him any more than anything else bothers him, though.
But everything else does bother him. That's why he goes and kills Tusken Raiders every year.
Do you...
We're talking about Vader, man.
I get it.
He lives... Rogue One showed us he lives in a big black castle on a molten planet. By the way, it is Mustafar. I checked. He lives on a planet where he lost Anakin Skywalker.
But does he truly live?
No. No, that's a good question. He doesn't. He's broken.
He doesn't garden or anything.
No. He just exists in pain. It's a sad life.
Okay, so the issues dealing with Vader right after he wakes up, after he's been made into Vader,
Right.
The other run picks up directly at that.
Yeah.
And they do an amazing job of whenever he goes to meditate, it's just this ongoing thing where he's meditating on this fiery plane, and he is just nothing but this black and red swirling stuff that's sitting there meditating, and I haven't figured out what they're trying to say with that imagery yet.
That's a good
because it changes a little bit.
Yeah.
And I can't let you in on it because I'm doing an episode with another one of my coworkers on
that's
that. But yeah, it's very, very interesting to see him go into that state and to see all the things that are happening.
1 hour left.
All right. We can do this.
Yeah, we can totally do it.
Because we're on issue number 4.
I cannot risk the wrath of my wife. That'd be worse than risking the wrath of Vader.
I do find that sometimes I forget Vader used to be Anakin.
Yeah. They're very different people.
But they do such a good job of putting little things in to remind you.
Yeah.
Whether that's him flying a ship, whether that's him doing something with the droid, whether that's him...
remembering something he did.
Yeah, and it's not even flashbacks. Flashbacks would be the lazy way to do it.
Right.
And they do have flashbacks, but they're not in a lazy way. He'll just rewire a circuit.
Yeah.
And you'll be like, oh yeah, Anakin, this is Anakin. Forget. So they go into this cave. They're on Geonosis.
Mm-hmm.
They go into this cave, and you see the kiss.
Yeah.
But 000 encounters some modified droids that have been merged with organic materials because the Queen went crazy.
Yeah.
And 000 says, I speak Geonosian fluently.
Yeah.
But no words come to mind. And then
oh my god, I fell off my damn chair.
On the way out, he goes, oh wait, some come to mind.
Hold on, pretext. BT proceeds to burn them all to death.
So BT comes in, lights them up with the flamethrower, and 000, as they're leaving, goes, oh, some words do come to mind. Ha ha ha, you're on fire and also dead.
That was the line that made me fall in love with 000. Oh my god. I mean, I was already in love with BT because he's an astromech and that's a given, but protocol droids I have a hard time warming up to. But man, they nailed it with 000.
Ha ha ha, you're on fire.
On fire and also dead.
Oh
Lord.
So this was very much an action issue. And you'll see that with story arcs. You have the first one is action, and then any dialogue really just sets up the questions.
Right.
Then you have the second one, which is dialogue for how they're going to proceed on dealing with the issue. 3 and 4 are typically action issue, and then you see the hero get into some sort of trouble. 5 is drawing towards the conclusion. So it's a mix of action and dialogue because they have to explain what they're doing. And then 6 is obviously the conclusion.
Right.
This is definitely an action issue. There's not a whole lot of talking. There's not a whole lot of dialogue that adds to anything. But it would make an amazing movie.
Absolutely.
How much do you want to see this in a scene? Just this whole issue just made into a scene.
It'd be freaky, man.
So Vader...
Geonosians are weird as hell, by the way.
So Vader comes in. This Geonosian queen has gone insane.
Yeah.
And she's also... There are no males, so she can't produce.
Right.
So what she's done is she's taken all the droids that were left over, and she started merging with them. So now they're droids with organic wings and...
Do you know why the Empire bombed Geonosis?
I don't
because
know.
Geonosis... Okay, so in Attack of the Clones, Geonosis was a huge weapons factory because the Geonosians know a thing or two about building machines.
Well, they're also hive mind, so they're very efficient.
And then, in Rebels, it showed us that the Empire used the Geonosians to help design and construct none other than the Death Star.
Gotcha. And
everything is connected!
Yeah. So, Vader comes in
and then
on
they
this...
killed them all.
Yeah.
After that, yeah.
So Vader comes in on this insane queen, and she's freaking out, and he doesn't even bother killing her. He takes her mechanical womb, cuts her in half, drops her down, because that's all he wants is that mechanical womb.
To make more battle droids.
He wants something that's just going to start producing these battle droids.
Yep.
It would have been more merciful
to kill her
because now she has nothing.
Right.
All of her children are dead.
Right.
Even the droids that she considers her children are dead, and she's left there without a womb without.
And that's
anything.
totally a Sith thing to do because death is a sweet release.
Right.
Where you no longer know pain, but you have something and then you lose it all and you have to live with that. That's so much worse.
Right.
Totally a Sith thing to do.
So, kind of building on this again, thinking about like droid consciousness was a huge rabbit hole for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I dove down that rabbit hole, and
it's a deep rabbit hole.
Yeah, they have personalities, but are the personalities just a program, or have they developed these personalities?
It develops over time. Because the more experience a droid collects, the more it starts to understand its surroundings. That's why smaller droids with less processing power and less lifetime, they don't develop anything.
So then it's not. So then it is part of their programming, though. It's a learning program where they learn to interact based on the people they interact with.
I think maybe, but I don't think it was intended.
If you're a droid and you only interact with accountants, then you are going to have an accountant's personality.
Sure, yeah.
If you're a droid who hangs out with a smartass, you're going to have a smartass personality.
Now, some of them, like protocol droids, are obviously programmed to have more of a personality, so that's different. But with droids like R2-D2 or BT, or I guess in this case just R2, that weren't designed to do anything other than maintenance or, jobs nobody else wants to do, they pick it up by what they go through. Okay,
so then how do droids develop a fear of death and a fear of pain? C-3PO was terrified.
Of course he was, because that's what the writing demanded for comedy. But
right,
I think it's out of the same reason we usually fear death, a sense of self-preservation. You gotta program a sense of self-preservation into a droid.
Is it like iRobot, where you give them personalities or allow them to develop personalities because it makes them seem more like you?
And
it's easier to accept that?
It depends on the droid. Obviously, with protocol droids, they wanted them to seem more sentient-like. But droids that are for maintenance or combat didn't necessarily need that.
Right.
You see where I'm going?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it just depends. But I believe most droids, aside from obvious suiciders that are designed to walk in and blow something up,
right,
or just combat droids in general, which are designed to kill and kill and kill without the fear of death holding them back.
Right.
Most droids would have a fear of death so they don't get destroyed. They don't run into a big trash compact or something, because then their owner has to buy a new one. It's a consumer thing.
So they talk about training the droids. He's got to train this droid army.
Right.
How do you train droids? Don't you just program them to be super efficient killing machines?
That was my idea. Maybe that's what he means.
I don't know.
We don't see him training them, do we?
No, but
obviously they can shoot.
They talk about it a lot.
Well, they're battle droids. Shooting's kind of a far-fetched
But see, it shouldn't be, though. They should be super accurate.
Well, except battle droids are cheap pieces of shit.
Oh, yeah, well. I guess there's that.
Man, if we were talking about, like, B2s or droidicas, that'd be different. But we're talking about B1s here, and they have the processing power of a chipmunk. Because they're cheap.
Vader is hauling this womb out of this collapsing cave, and Afra says, "Hey, your ship's kind of tiny."
Referring to his TIE Advanced X1.
Yeah. Can you handle this? And he says, "I have made certain modifications or certain enhancements or something like that." But they never really explain what he's talking about
until we see the ship.
Which is, I guess I missed that part.
You don't recognize that ship?
Yeah, but why is it... I don't understand why she would understand him saying enhancements. He said it like it was supposed to be some big reveal to her.
Oh, because that type of ship... By the way, the ship that he is flying is a J-type Nubian, the same ship used in The Phantom Menace by Queen Amidala, so this is another Padme reference, and oh my god, does it hurt. Because we haven't seen this ship outside of The Phantom Menace. And it's awesome.
All black.
But it was designed... Actually, I think it's chrome. We're seeing the underside there.
Maybe.
Or it could be black. Black chrome, maybe.
Yeah.
Reflective black. But that is designed as a passenger ship. A traveler. Probably wasn't designed to handle large loads like this. That's probably what he's talking about.
Okay. But yeah, he just said it like, oh, you're really going to like what you see whenever you get up there.
Yeah. And we did. I think that was more for the audience than anything.
Yeah. So Afra's sitting there talking to Vader, and she says, "Okay, listen, I know the deal. You're gonna kill me now. You don't need me anymore. I completed your mission. I'm just a loose end. So please, I would prefer a lightsaber. Just cut my head off.
Don't blow me out of an airlock.
Yeah, don't
I
blow me
totally
out of,
sympathize with that.
Don't blow me out of an airlock. That's my biggest fear.
Yeah.
So my question is, and you haven't read past this volume,
right?
Will he kill Dr. Aphra?
Well, considering we don't see her in Empire, I'm assuming so, or she dies some other way, or maybe not. You know,
maybe just go about her life in the Milky Way galaxy.
Will Vader let her do that? Maybe, because we always know there's some bit of Anakin down in there. You know, as is proven, Aphra helped him out a lot. Clearly,
yeah.
Unless she does something real big in the next couple issues, which I don't have the full story here.
Right.
But also, he is Darth Vader, and yeah, he could possibly kill her. Like he says, "You're useful, so I'll keep you alive until no longer necessary."
So Vader does spare her now
because she's still useful to him.
Right. Is she really willing to die, or is she trying to lead him so that she can develop a plan for not dying?
No, Aphra's prepared to die because her job is turning on war machines.
Okay.
She's not scared of death. She's scared of how she dies, but she's not scared of death.
I know the answer because I distinctly remember this part.
Well, you can't tell me that. So don't.
And it's going to be awesome.
Okay. Well, give me the next issue and I'll read it, but don't
It's not in the next issue. It's in the...
I mean, give me the next issue so I can get there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be in the mail pretty soon.
Awesome.
But yeah, that's my thing, is because she is very much like Vader in that she also plays three-dimensional chess.
Right.
So whenever I first read through, I wasn't sure if she was like, I knew the deal, this is going to be a fun ride, just make it quick.
Yeah.
Or if she's like, alright, I'm going to tell him how I want him to kill me, that way I can develop a plan. Because I know I can't play on his sympathies. Yeah. I know I can't get on his good side. I know I can't, become important to him because he's Vader. But maybe if I know one of three ways how he could kill me, then I can develop a plan for it.
I don't think that falls in with her character. I think her saying that to him, expressing how she wants to be killed, is more of her motor mouth. Because as she says, she can't shut up around him because she's nervous. So I think she was just really running her mouth. And of course, if you're scared Darth Vader's going to kill you, you're going to say, "Oh, please don't throw me out an airlock. Just please stick it.
Yeah.
Stick me." I think that's what it's about.
So at the very end of this issue, we're introduced to Silo 4, who is a person with cybernetic enhancements. What it turns out to be is that he has a human body, but he has learned how to download his consciousness onto a server. And so when his human body dies, his mind gets downloaded.
He's a Cylon.
Yeah. He gets downloaded into a new body.
Yeah, he's a Cylon.
And also, this is another thing.
An excellent 000.
000. I have good news and bad news. The good news is we need to go over to wherever because I found that he gave up all the information. And then he said, Vader goes, "Good. Now dispose of the body." He goes, "Oh, well then I have really good news." He's already dead.
Oh, 000. He's so crazy.
Yeah.
By the way, the description, the physical description of 000 is the absolute inverse to C-3PO's. He has the same shell, but it's black with red eyes as opposed to C-3PO's comforting gold with light eyes.
Right.
And BT is the same way. BT has a more rigid, blocky shell as opposed to R2-D2's curved shell.
Also, he's full of explosives.
And weapons. How did he stick some of those weapons in him, man? Because, swear to God, he brings out some of those on his little arms, and the weapons are bigger than the hatch they come out of. Science. I mean, maybe they're telescoping.
Science.
However, what R2's told me is that you can stick everything inside an astromech droid.
That's right.
So.
Except your penis.
Oh, yeah, we're going there. Apparently. Hey, I mean, dude, Rule 34, if it exists, there is porn of it.
That's right.
I'm not going down that rabbit hole, but that's one I won't touch.
It's an expensive one. All right.
It's a disgusting one. Probably.
So, in issue 5, we find out there are replacements for Vader.
Because of course there are.
And I absolutely love this new dynamic between Vader and Palpatine.
It only expands upon the dynamic shown in Return of the Jedi. Palpatine literally said to Luke while Vader was there, "Kill him. You can become my new apprentice."
Right.
This is just more of that.
Yeah. And how awesome are those ships? Okay, so Silo 4 has these ships, and it's just reinforcing the organic cybernetic marriage. He's got these giant space whales, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, that's basically what
and there's these giant cybernetic cities built on them.
It's like that one Doctor Who episode. You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah, sure.
No, I'm talking to them. They probably don't know either.
Yeah, probably not. But yeah, it's just this giant city built on the backs of these things. And so they need to find a way to get onto said ship/whale.
So they cut a hole in it.
That was awesome.
Spoiler alert.
Okay, so
they cut a hole in it.
Yeah, they're boarding, and everybody's getting ready. They're aiming all their guns at the door, and you see the red.
Oh, wait. We skipped another 000 moment.
Not yet. We're getting there.
Are we? Oh, yeah. No, that comes later.
So we see the Telltale lightsaber cutting through the door, right? The giant metal door. And everybody's getting ready.
And they're getting ready for Vader.
All of a sudden, it busts through, and here's 000. He says, "I'm 000, and I..."
Hold on. I can do it better. Don't shoot, please, don't shoot. Identify yourself. What are you doing? I am 000, and I... oh, this is so tricky. So many languages. What is the word again? And BT goes, bleep, bleep, bloop. Ah, yes, that's the one. Thank you, BT. And then Vader cuts into the wall next to him, comes out, and he goes, I'm a distraction.
Yeah. So that's the awesome one. Okay, so Vader, instead of going through the city and the pathways that are built into the city, he just cuts a hole in the side of the body, showing a huge flaw in the system of having your stuff built on a giant
in a whale.
Animal.
Yeah.
You just cut through the
skin.
Parts.
Yeah.
And then, okay, going back to what we were talking about in Invincible with, the science is what makes it happen. So he's walking into this whale while everybody else is flying out, and Afra goes, "Thank goodness for those magnetic boots."
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, that's a more realistic one.
Yeah.
That's employed everywhere in sci-fi, but it makes sense.
Yeah.
It's perfectly viable.
Yeah,
my question is, why are you not wearing magnetic boots on a space station?
Well, if you're on a space station made of whale...
It's still a space station. What if a hole combusts? And you gotta have mag boots.
If you're walking on the metal portion. If you're walking on the guts, then it doesn't really matter.
No, but at least you have mag boots for when you're walking on the magnetic portion.
That is true. One question I have is, he's walking inside the body of this whale.
Yeah.
They have hallways set in between the muscles and organs, I assume.
Probably.
How is Vader's cape not disgusting at this point?
He only cut through one layer, didn't he?
I'm just saying, you can see right here he's walking through hallways. That's squishy flesh.
Oh, yeah.
Which would be an open wound inside of this
I
thing.
can tell you, Vader's cape has special technology to keep it nice and clean.
Yeah.
It's self-wicking.
Scotch Guard.
Yeah, there you go.
Scotch Guard. He sprayed himself down with Scotch Guard. Darth Vader's cape, brought to you by Scotch Guard.
For all your evil villainous needs.
That's right.
You can get sucked into airplanes.
So, Vader goes one way, sends the droids the other. He sent the droids to somewhere called the Dojo, which I was like, why wouldn't Vader go to the Dojo?
Right.
Vader goes, finds nothing, and then he's like, oh, all my droids are dead. I better go over to the Dojo. And we find that there are a couple of people sitting there waiting for him.
Now, for the sake of time, we'll have to summarize them.
Yeah, they're just two people who have been trained. They have lightsabers, so the implication is that they've
been trained in your Jedi arts by Count Dooku.
Right, or by whoever.
You missed the reference.
I probably did.
You fool, Kenobi! I've been trained in your Jedi arts by Count Dooku!
I got you. He was, by the way, one of my favorite villains.
Wasn't he, though? Wasn't he, though? He was such a badass in the original 2003 Clone Wars, though. Yeah, anyway.
So anyway, one of the guys, it's a guy and a girl, they're brother and sister. He holds out his hand and the door shuts.
Can we appreciate the yellow lightsaber?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Because these were originally introduced in Knights of the Old Republic, and now they're official. So that's a nice touch.
And so when he shuts the door, Vader goes, "That wasn't the Force. I don't know what you're using, but it's not the Force. This is trickery." So what benefits are there to having the actual Force if you can have tech that simulates the Force?
Right? Well, if you have the Force, you can apparently survive in the depths of the vacuum of space long enough to Mary Poppins yourself back to your ship now. So there's that.
Okay. Well, I guess. But couldn't you do that with tech also?
No, you shouldn't be able to do that anyway. If you're in the vacuum of space, you're
dead.
They
did it in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Because he had a mask.
Right, that's tech.
Oh, wait, no, they did do that. However, Guardians is much less solid.
Yeah.
Then again, we're talking about Star Wars here.
So, this is something that I wanted to bring up from earlier in the show. Mm-hmm. I think part of the rift, other than the lying about the children, Vader hates that he is dedicated so much to the Force. Mm-hmm. He killed children for the Force. Mm-hmm. He
killed children for Padme.
But he did all of this
to become stronger in the
Force.
With
the understanding that the Force would be stronger.
So he could save Padme.
So it's his religion. It really is. And so he's done all this for his religion, and he was led to do all this for his religion by Palpatine, who is now trying to replace him by things who simulate the Force.
Or just don't plain straight up have the Force.
Right. Meaning that all of these terrible things that he did in the past for Palpatine with the Force to get stronger in the Force means nothing.
Right.
Because now it can all just be simulated.
Right.
So I love how they're even making that small new wrinkle an even more wrinkly wrinkle.
Well, you know why he's not using people who have the Force?
One,
because a lot of them are, but one, it could bring back the Jedi.
Yeah.
If done incorrectly, which is a risk he doesn't want to take. He just finished a centuries-long plan to get rid of them. He doesn't want them to come back.
Yeah.
And secondly, like you said, a lot of them are dead. However, he killed a lot of Force-sensitive children.
But we also learned in that episode 1 that midichlorians are essentially herpes.
Midichlorians.
And that everybody has the Force because everybody has herpes.
Midichlorians. It's just how much herpes you have.
Right.
Depends on whether or not you can use.
Do you have an outbreak every week or a couple times a year?
Which, if you're taking midichlorians into account, that actually kind of makes sense. So,
their galaxy's version of an STD that gives you superpowers.
Credit where credit's due. Everybody's got them, but if you have more, you become Superman.
So we have this splash page of Vader, and there are 5 new people that he's about to face with. And these are all some sort of adaptation of somebody who's supposed to replace him.
Right.
They're all different, but they're all supposed to be a possible replacement. And I love how they kind of go through one by one, and they have them fight, so Palpatine can say, Palpatine can say, "All right, you're the winner," and this issue ends just like that. Like as they're running together.
I found a little boring.
I think Vader hates these people. Not because of the fact that they're trying to kill him.
But of what they represent.
Right. He calls them blasphemous. He says that you don't have the Force. You're tricksters. So this is something that he took years to master. And they were given in just... the twins, we find out, have been trained since childhood. But these new enhancements were only recent.
Right.
With everybody.
And
And
I mean, not only did Anakin train his whole life for it, he gave up his mother for it.
Yeah,
he
gave
couldn't
up everything.
He couldn't openly marry Padme for it. Yeah,
I equated it to like giving a child a gun.
yeah,
Right? If somebody came up to you and said, "Hey, you know what? You have all the powers of Darth Vader now." Like, you're not going to have any discipline.
Nope.
Right? It's these people.
Well, and think about how insulted the original guy is going to be.
It's the people. It's the people who have won the lottery versus people who earned their millions.
Right. There's a difference between earning and getting.
Yeah.
Big difference too.
Right. And how much you have to sacrifice to earn it.
Right.
So
now,
issue 6.
This part I did find a little boring because there was no tension here.
Yeah,
it's
it's
a battle
just building
scene,
up.
but for the most part, none of them are going to die. Obviously, Vader's not going to die, and they just introduced a lot of them, so
all they're doing is going over them. But they do kind of go over their power sets, which will come in handy later in future issues. So it's not superfluous.
Right.
But something also that I realized was that Palpatine was planning this since before Vader was created.
Right.
He was doing this while Anakin was still
knee-high
because they're about the same age.
Right.
I mean...
Well, because what if Anakin didn't work out?
Right. And then, as soon as I had that thought, I was like, well, how many people did Palpatine take on as an apprentice and then just sacrifice because he saw somebody who had more potential? That's what he did that's what he did with Count Dooku.
Oh, sure. That's what he did with Maul.
Yeah. He just sacrificed him.
Yeah, I mean, and remember, in Revenge of the Sith, as soon as Dooku was dead, Grievous said, "But the loss of Count Dooku." And Palpatine's like, "Fear not, soon I'll have somebody better and more powerful." He wasn't even worried about it, man.
Right. So, here's one of my questions.
The ultimate not giving a crap.
Yeah. If you're merging these people with cybernetics, wouldn't you want them to be more robot than human?
Well, I feel like, remember, the more robot you are, the less midichlorians you have.
Okay.
Which is why Vader
But these guys don't have midichlorians anyway.
Everybody has midichlorians.
Okay, but these guys have no
force capabilities.
Force
Sure, in that case, yeah, go ahead.
So why not just have droids that could do this?
Maybe they objected to getting their arms cut off. I don't know.
Well, at least 2 of them did.
Yeah.
So what is a mindless organic offer that a droid doesn't? So they talk about they get off the twins and they talk about
sorry.
What kind of creature is this? The lizard creature.
I think that's a Trandoshan.
Okay.
Let me get a good look at him. That's a Trandoshan.
Okay. So they have him. They've modified him to where he doesn't feel pain. He only has his base instincts to kill.
Mm-hmm.
So what does that offer? What does me going in, messing with your pain sensors and your brain do that you couldn't program into a droid?
Well, I actually have a very good answer for that. In Halo, the Spartan 3 program, which was the program that succeeded the Master Chief in terms of Spartan super soldiers, had an additional augmentation where the worse their injuries got, the less pain they would feel, so they could keep fighting and push themselves to limits that somebody who felt pain couldn't.
But couldn't a droid do that?
Sure, but a droid wouldn't get the advantages the organics get.
Mobility,
quick thinking,
yeah,
not adhering to programming.
I gotcha.
Which is why human pilots always beat droid pilots.
Yeah.
Or at least in theory.
Right. So, this next one. The woman has her consciousness spread out amongst all these tiny little spheres that are floating around.
Man, how weird is that?
So, my thought was, what if you paired that with somebody like Vader? What if you spread Vader's mind out amongst all of those tiny little things?
Then you would have unlimited power!
That's right.
Or you would be a mess.
It could be.
What if you get too spread out?
Does it divide your mind, though? Or does it just work as they're all working like octopus arms in...
Because octopus arms are all connected in a way. These aren't.
Right,
They're
but
just a small fragment of your consciousness.
Each octopus arm has its own mind.
Really?
working towards a central
Oh,
goal.
I didn't know that. Okay, that's cool. In that case, then, I'm going to liken it to Horcruxes.
I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I heard that somewhere.
I'll have to look that up. But I'm going to liken it to Voldemort's Horcruxes in Harry Potter. It's
Gotcha.
split up into a bunch of different pieces, but that does mean you can get taken out one by one by one by one by one.
Yeah. So we move on to Commander Carbon, who is
He's Admiral Akbar and General Grievous' baby.
yeah, essentially.
Literally. He's Admiral Akbar's head. He's a Mon Calamari head with General Grievous' body.
He seemed like a lazy design to me.
Yeah.
And even Silo says it. He goes, "We modeled this after General Grievous."
Which, I mean, we didn't get a whole
Which
lot of Grievous.
failed.
So, yeah.
So why would you go back to it if it failed?
And also, if you're going to pick an alien's head to stick on it, like, from an artistic perspective, not a story perspective,
yeah.
a Mon Calamari, really? A fish person? They're not the most threatening looking.
Yeah.
Or the coolest.
So, I also like how this kid tries to talk crap.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, don't get all sentimental. Because the kid kills somebody who was fighting Vader.
Yeah.
And
It
Vader
was the
says,
Trandoshan, I
yeah.
believe.
And Vader says, I'll remember this.
Mm-hmm.
And the kid's like,
The kid misinterprets it.
Yeah, the kid's like, hey, I didn't do that to help you. I'm just trying to thin the herd. Mm-hmm. And Vader goes, that was my life to take.
Mm-hmm. So
and
now,
then just
now this
walks
kid's,
away.
Now this kid's on Vader's shit list.
Yeah.
He's in trouble. I see him going next.
So essentially what's going on here is Vader is on American Idol.
Yep.
Except everybody
It's actually
does.
more like Total Drama Island.
I've never seen it.
You get picked off one by one. It's a parody of those reality shows.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is also just him being another level 10 troll.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
The young kid comes up, starts talking shit, and
Vader
makes it
shuts
seem
him
like
down.
Vader's getting soft, and he goes, that was my life to take,
Yeah.
sir.
He just shuts him down quick.
Yeah.
You can't out Vader, man.
So again, all of this whole drama that's going on between Palpatine and Vader, it makes the movie so much better.
I know, right?
This is also where Vader finds out, because Boba Fett shows up,
Mm-hmm.
and he says, hey, all I got was his last name. It's Skywalker. And so Vader's standing at the window, and you see this crack. It goes from Vader to Padme to Vader to Padme to Vader, and he's like clenching his fist, and all of a sudden this crack shoots across
The window he's in
the
front of.
window.
It's that, okay, so in Return of the Jedi, you know, the window that's behind Palpatine the whole time, the hexagonal, octagonal looking window, it's one of those.
Yeah, and so he goes back and he talks to Palpatine, and Palpatine's like, oh, you're angry, I can sense it. What do you want to tell me? Do you have something for me? What's going on? And he says, I just won't fail you again.
Mm-hmm.
And then he goes back to the window, and it's all just shattered.
No, it was more layered than that. Let me see.
No, he has I will not fail you in this way again. Or something like
here
that.
it is. He says, I want you to know I will not fail. He says, this is a promise, but it's not the kind of promise Palpatine thinks he's making. He says,
Right.
I will not, now he knows about Luke, he says, I will not fail. I will not fail to take you down and take your place with my son. And he says, and I understand us precisely.
Yeah.
Oh, God,
Yeah,
what a good line.
it was
So
awesome.
layered.
And so then he goes back and just stares out, and he says, he will be mine. It all will be mine.
Mm-hmm.
And then
That's
it
the
ends. So
Ooh,
we
chills.
get to see the moment all of Vader's assumptions and his theories are proven correct.
Yep.
He knows that Skywalker's his. He knows that Palpatine lied. He knows that he's going to now kill everyone in order to bring his son in.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, what did you now you can go into a little more detail.
You know, that expands on the moment in Empire Strikes Back where, you know, Vader's cut Luke's hand off, Luke's hanging off the weather vane, and Vader goes, join me, and together we can rule the galaxy. And Luke goes, I'll never join you, and he falls off. And Vader goes, fuck, man. Do you know how long I've been working towards this? Are you serious? You're gonna do that right now. You're grounded.
That's right.
There, it's funny. Why didn't he just force pick him back up and go?
They don't use the force. They don't use the force nearly enough in any of these fights.
No.
I don't understand it. It is the most underutilized thing
Until the prequels came along.
Yeah.
Which is cool. It's good.
So now that we've covered this, what did you think of the comic?
Have I not sounded enthused enough with it for you?
Was it all that you expected? Better or worse than you expected?
Better. I mean, I didn't really know what to expect because, I've not read a lot of comics, but I have delved into a lot of expanded Star Wars material, and some of it's good, some of it's bad.
Yeah.
It's a roll of the dice with this. So I was very pleasantly pleased.
Yeah, I was extremely pleased. I wasn't as into Star Wars as you are. I watched them all. I knew things about them. I liked them for several reasons. I'm more of a fan than most.
Yeah.
But the fact that it just enriches everything, because they could have just made this like their own story,
right?
And it ran, and then
and they do that sometimes,
right? But the fact that this, you can either read this and enjoy the movies a million times more, or you can just enjoy the movies,
right?
But yeah, these just, God, they make it so much better.
I know,
so
they enrich the experience.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, I know you got to go, so I'll go ahead and wrap this up.
Sound good?
That'll do it for this episode of the Comic Rundown, brought to you by Comic Den. Special thanks to Jacob for joining me, and remind everyone where they can find you.
Yes, again, my YouTube channel is Chronicler177. You might have noticed us talking about enriching the story and character development or something like that. Those are big things that I try to do with every single production. All my productions are character focused. So if that's the kind of stuff you'll like, you'll love my works. I have serious sci-fi conflicts. I have comedies. I got something for everybody. Come check me out. I hope I don't disappoint.
I'm going to tell you right now, you need to focus on your Instagram.
Oh God!
You need to do more Instagram.
Are you trolling right now?
Instagram's where it's at.
You know I'm not young like these kids who can keep up with their Insta snaps and their Facegrams.
I'm about to turn 30, and I do Instagram. It is so much less work than Facebook.
I don't use Facebook for the channel.
See, if you want to get your stuff out, you gotta make an Instagram page just for Chronicler.
I will consider that.
Do it.
I'll consider that.
All right. Speaking of, follow me on Facebook and Instagram at ComicDen316. If you like this episode, give it a like. If you like this channel, give it a subscribe. If you want notifications, hit the bell.
Which of course you do, because not getting notifications is stupid.
It is pretty dumb.
It's part of the machine.
This has been the Comic Rundown, and I'll catch you guys later.